If she never really felt anything for you, you can still make her miss you. Sounds crazy, right? But here's the thing. Emotions don't always come from deep connections. They often come from how someone experiences you. And most men get this completely backwards. They think the only way to make a woman miss them is to constantly stay in her face, calling, texting, checking in. But what that really does, it makes her comfortable, not curious. Welcome back to the channel. If you've ever felt like you're invisible to a woman you like, or worse, you had her attention, but now it's slipping, this one's going to hit home. We're breaking down how to flip the dynamic and make any woman start thinking about you, even if she wasn't interested to begin with. Now, this isn't about playing tricks or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about understanding human nature, how attraction builds, how interest grows, and how to create space that actually pulls someone toward you instead of pushing them away. The truth is, most guys either come off too eager or disappear without purpose. Neither works. What makes someone miss you isn't silence for the sake of it. It's presence followed by absence with impact. You need to know when to show up, when to pull back, and how to leave a mark that sticks in her mind long after you're gone. In this video, I'll break down 7 key moves that shift the way she sees you. Moves that make her pause, question, and start feeling your absence, even if she wasn't paying attention before. Let's get into it. 1. Stop giving her what she hasn't earned. One of the biggest mistakes men make, especially with a woman who isn't showing real interest, is giving her way too much, too soon. You're texting her every morning. You're checking in to see how her day's going. You're offering compliments, attention, time, and sometimes even emotional support, while she gives you nothing but short replies and long silences. That's not connection. That's imbalance. The hard truth is, attention that isn't earned gets taken for granted. When you're always available, always responding, always showing interest, without her doing anything to deserve it, it doesn't build attraction. It builds comfort. And comfort kills mystery. Picture this. You've been talking to a woman you really like. She's pretty dry over text, but every once in a while she gives you just enough to keep you hopeful. So you keep showing up. You send thoughtful messages, remember little things she said, even offer to help her out when she's stressed. Meanwhile, she barely engages, cancels plans, and never initiates anything. You're thinking, if I just keep being consistent, maybe she'll start to appreciate it. But the opposite happens. She tunes you out. Not because you're a bad guy, but because you're handing her something valuable before she's shown any real desire for it. People value what they work for. It's just how we're wired. When someone puts in zero effort, but still gets attention, they don't feel lucky. They feel indifferent. There's no sense of urgency, no emotional impact, and no reason to miss you, because you never gave her the chance to wonder what your absence feels like. If she hasn't shown real interest, stop flooding her with energy. Don't keep giving her your time, compliments, or emotional presence when she's not giving anything back. It doesn't make her like you more. It just teaches her that she doesn't need to try. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about recognizing when something isn't being returned and pulling back with self-respect. If she starts to notice your absence and reaches out, that's your first sign she might actually value what you were giving. But if she doesn't, that tells you everything you need to know. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to you. Let her earn it. Let her invest. Let her wonder what you're doing when you're not always available. When she feels that shift, when you stop giving her more than she's giving you, that's when the balance starts to shift. And that's when she may start to miss you for real. 2. Create space that feels uncomfortable for her. One of the most effective ways to make a woman miss you, especially one who hasn't been showing real interest, is to create space, not fake space. Not, I'm going to wait 2 hours to text back and hope she notices, space. Real, intentional space where you stop reaching out, stop chasing, and allow the silence to do the work for you. This is where most guys get uncomfortable. The second she pulls away, they want to close the gap. They want to fix the silence, make things feel good again, and keep the momentum going, even when she's not giving anything back. But here's the thing. If she never feels the discomfort of your absence, she'll never value your presence. Women don't miss men who are always available. They miss the ones who create emotional impact and then disappear just long enough for her to feel the gap. The longer you keep inserting yourself into her life uninvited, the more she gets used to you being there without having to do anything to keep you. Creating space means stopping the little habits that keep you attached, checking her social media, replying to every story, reacting to every post, finding excuses to start a conversation. All of that makes you feel like you're doing something, but it removes any pressure on her to actually reach out or engage. Here's what happens when you give real space. She either leans in or she lets it go, and either result gives you clarity. If she reaches out, asks where you've been, or starts putting in effort, that tells you something shifted. If she doesn't, that tells you where you truly stood all along. Now, this only works if you've already shown some value. If you've had good conversations, shared a connection, or left a strong impression, your absence has weight. But if you've just been in the background with no emotional impact, space won't do much. So make sure you've actually shown something worth missing first. And don't confuse this with playing games. You're not ignoring her to get a reaction. You're giving space because you've recognized that chasing someone who isn't showing real effort is a waste of your time. That shift in behavior, where you stop showing up like clockwork, can trigger her to notice what she lost. But only if you're strong enough to stick to it. The goal isn't to punish her, it's to reset the dynamic. And sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to do nothing. Let her feel the space you used to fill. 3. Kill the check-in habit. If there's one habit that silently kills attraction, it's the constant need to check in. You know what it looks like, texting her just to say, "Good morning," "How was your day?" or "What are you up to?" every single time without getting much in return. It feels harmless. You think you're being polite, thoughtful, consistent. But to her, it starts to feel routine, and worse, predictable. When a woman knows you'll always be the one to reach out first, you remove any mystery, tension, or curiosity. She doesn't have to wonder where you are, what you're doing, or how you feel. You've already told her, over and over again. And once that becomes the pattern, you shift from being a person of interest to background noise. Always there, always available, never missed. Here's the truth. No one misses what never leaves. If you're constantly checking in, she doesn't get a chance to feel your absence. She never has to think about what it's like to not hear from you. That's why pulling back on the check-ins is important. Not to play mind games, but to let her experience the space and realize what's missing when you're not reaching out. This doesn't mean you ghost her or act cold. It means you stop initiating conversations just for the sake of being present. When there's something real to say it. But if you're only reaching out to keep the line warm, you're not building connection. You're just maintaining a weak, one-sided link that leads nowhere. Let her wonder for once. Let her think, wait, I haven't heard from him in a while. That thought alone has more power than 10, "How's your day?" texts. It gives her a reason to think about you. And when she does, that's when interest can start to grow, because she's the one reaching out, not just receiving attention without effort. Killing the check-in habit also shows confidence. It shows that you're not relying on constant contact to keep her interested. You're not insecure about silence. You're not afraid of space. You let her come to you when she wants to, and that shifts the energy. It puts you in a position of value, not need. So if you catch yourself texting just to stay on her radar, stop and ask yourself, is this coming from strength or from fear of being forgotten? Because if you have to remind her you exist every day, she's already stopped thinking about you. And that's not where you want to be. 4. Build a life she has to catch up to. If you want a woman to miss you, the most powerful thing you can do is build a life that doesn't revolve around her, or any woman for that matter. Not out of bitterness or ego, but because the more fulfilled, focused, and independent you are, the more she has to notice your absence when you're not around. A lot of men get stuck waiting for someone to like them before they start showing their value. That's backwards. You shouldn't be adjusting your life to try and fit into hers. You should be living a life that makes her curious, impressed, and maybe even a little unsure if she fits into yours. When a man is fully in motion, working on his goals, staying in shape, growing his skills, connecting with people, and genuinely enjoying his own company, it creates gravity. People notice, women notice, and most importantly, the women who overlooked you before, they start to wonder if they misread you, if they missed something. That's when they start to miss you, not because of something you said, but because of who you've become. It's not about pretending to be busy. It's about actually being busy with things that matter to you. When your schedule is full of purpose, when you've got things to focus on, you naturally pull back from people who aren't making effort. You stop overthinking, you stop chasing, and your energy shifts. That shift alone can change how a woman sees you. If she's used to you being available all the time, always checking in or waiting for her attention, then suddenly she sees you doing your thing without looking back. That gets her attention. Not in a forced, dramatic way, but in a subtle, powerful one. She realizes you don't need her to feel good about yourself. That's attractive. That's rare. And this isn't just about impressing her. It's about protecting your own energy. When you focus on your growth, you naturally stop trying to get validation from people who aren't giving it freely. That protects you from wasting time, and it builds real confidence. You're no longer hoping someone notices you. You know your worth, with or without their attention. So instead of sitting around wondering how to get her to text you back, ask yourself, what am I building right now? What am I moving toward? Because the man who's focused on something bigger than one woman is the man she ends up thinking about when she realizes he's not waiting anymore. Build your life first, and let her try to catch up. 5. Let her feel the silence without filling it. One of the biggest mistakes men make is rushing to fill the silence. The moment a woman doesn't respond quickly, gets distant, or pulls back, most guys panic. They double text, ask if everything's okay, or try to restart the conversation with a random, just checking in message. But that's not confidence. That's emotional chasing. And it kills mystery. If she pulls back, don't fill the gap. Let her feel it. Let her notice that the guy who was once consistent, once available, once always there, is suddenly quiet. Not in a childish or passive-aggressive way, just calmly, quietly absent. Here's what that does. It creates space for her to wonder. People don't miss what's constantly in front of them. They miss what they can no longer access on demand. That's where curiosity starts. That's where questions form. Why hasn't he messaged me? Is he done? Did I lose him? And once she starts asking those questions, you are in her head. And that's exactly where you want to be. Let's say you used to talk almost every day. Nothing too deep, but it was steady. Then suddenly, you stop initiating. No complaints, no explanations, just silence. A few days go by, and she notices. Now she has a choice. Reach out or let it fade. If she does reach out, you've got something to work with. If she doesn't, you've got your answer. But the key here is, don't break the silence first. That's what most men do. They can't handle the quiet. They tell themselves she's just busy, that maybe she missed the message, or they want to be polite. But what they're really doing is trying to avoid discomfort. And discomfort is exactly what makes someone notice your absence. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to play cold. Just step back. Let things breathe. If she's genuinely interested, she'll start to feel the difference. And when she feels that, the silence becomes powerful. She'll start remembering your presence, not because you reminded her, but because she felt the shift. Here's the truth. If she never reaches out during the silence, she was never really invested. And that might sting, but it also frees you. You stop wasting energy trying to hold on to someone who wasn't holding on to you. So the next time the energy fades, don't chase. Let the silence sit. Let her wonder. And most importantly, don't rush to fix what isn't broken on your side. Sometimes silence says more than words ever could, and if she misses you, she'll break it herself. 6. Flip the power dynamic without saying a word. When a woman isn't showing much interest, it's usually because she feels like she has the upper hand. She knows you want her, she knows you're available, and she knows you're chasing. That gives her control, whether she's using it intentionally or not. And when someone has control, they don't feel urgency. They don't feel pressure to engage, respond, or invest more. So how do you shift that dynamic without games or manipulation. You do it with behavior. Not arguments, not speeches, not passive-aggressive texts. Just quiet action that changes the energy. It starts with you stopping the pursuit. Stop chasing attention that isn't being returned. Stop trying to prove your worth to someone who's not meeting you halfway. The moment you stop trying to impress her is the moment things start to shift. She'll notice. Even if she doesn't say anything right away, she'll feel it. That shift alone flips the dynamic. Now you're not the one trying to win her over. You're the one who's focused elsewhere. And when you do it without announcing it, without blaming her, it creates something powerful. Uncertainty. She no longer knows how much access she has to you. She no longer assumes you'll always be there when she's bored. And that uncertainty makes her pause. You don't need to pretend to be cold or disinterested. You just stop giving priority to someone who doesn't give it back. Your silence, your distance, your focus elsewhere, they speak volumes. And they do what words can't. They force her to reevaluate her position with you. Most guys lose this dynamic by over-explaining. They try to tell her how they feel, how frustrated they are, or how much they care. But in this kind of situation, talking doesn't change anything. What does? Shifting the behavior. Letting your absence replace your argument. And here's something important. This isn't about trying to manipulate her into chasing you. This is about stepping out of the emotional imbalance and protecting your value. When you stop showing up for someone who isn't showing up for you, you reclaim your power. That's not cold. That's self-respect. If she's truly interested, that shift won't go unnoticed. It'll make her question what changed, why you're not as available, and what you're thinking. That curiosity is where missing you starts. Not because you forced it, but because you removed what she was taking for granted. You don't need to beg for position. You need to act like a man who has value, and then live that way. The rest takes care of itself. 7. Trigger curiosity, not jealousy. Too many men try to make a woman miss them by trying to make her jealous. Posting pictures with other women, dropping hints about who they're talking to, or trying to create reactions through forced attention. That might stir something short-term, but it's not real. And it almost never leads to the respect or connection you're actually looking for. Instead of playing that game, aim to trigger curiosity. Curiosity is more powerful than jealousy because it creates genuine interest. Jealousy is reactive. It can backfire. Curiosity, though, it pulls her in. It makes her wonder what's going on with you, especially when you're not broadcasting it. And that's where her thoughts start to linger. Now here's where some constructive truth comes in. A lot of guys don't create curiosity because they don't have anything going on. They're not working on themselves. They're not growing. And they're not developing an identity outside of chasing women. If your whole world is built around whether she texts you back, there's nothing for her to be curious about. You've already laid it all out there. She knows exactly where you are, and it's right behind her. If you want her to think about you, wonder about you, miss you, you have to give her less information, not more. You don't need to post mysterious captions or play mind games. You just need to stop oversharing and start living. Be active, be focused, do your thing without announcing every move. When a woman sees a man who's not begging for attention, not pushing to be noticed, and clearly has a full life, that creates curiosity. She starts to wonder who you're becoming, what's changed, why you're not chasing. That curiosity often does what chasing never could. It brings her to you. This is where self-awareness matters. Ask yourself, do I want her to miss me? Or the version of me that's always been desperate for her attention? Because if you're being honest, sometimes you're more addicted to the chase than the actual woman. And that's the habit you need to break. If she's ever going to miss you in a real way, it won't come from pressure or emotional games. It'll come from you becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to be missed, but is anyway. A man who's focused, grounded, and not dependent on external validation to feel like he matters. So instead of trying to spark jealousy with forced moves, focus on building a life that naturally triggers curiosity. That's how you stay in her mind without ever needing to chase it. If you want a woman to miss you, don't try harder. Disappear with purpose. Most men think the solution is to stay present, keep showing interest, and prove their value. But that approach only works when a woman already sees your value. If she doesn't, more effort just makes you easier to ignore. Here's something to think about. The more available you are to someone who doesn't value you, the less they'll ever value you. That's not a guess. That's how people work. You've got to pull your attention away from where it's being wasted and start building a version of yourself that doesn't need her to notice. And ironically, that's when she usually does. The real power isn't in trying to control how she feels. It's in controlling how you respond. Focus on your growth. Protect your energy. Stop giving away your presence for free. When you move like a man who's got purpose and peace, people notice. And they miss you when you're gone. I'd love to hear what your experience has been with this. Have you ever tried pulling back? Did she notice or not? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone, and I'll be replying to as many as I can, because this is the kind of real talk that a lot of men need to hear and share. Hit the like button if this helped you see things differently, and if you're not already subscribed, now's the time. More straight up, no fluff content is on the way. Keep building. Keep moving.